らだけじゃ心配だからな。心配って大丈夫なのかこいつ。
一緒に行こう。ポケモンのことちゃんと見てる人なら一緒に頑張れる。
ポケモンだけは見てるよな。うっせ。
Episode 95 of Pokemon Horizons. Let me just be straight up from the get-go. I've admitted this several times before, and this is even more so true when you're watching a long running anime that's going to be around forever. The real thing is I've been covering Pokemon Horizons since it launched in Japan, which was like April of 2023, April of 2022. 22? 23? It's been a couple of years, okay? Basically, it's been a couple of years since I've been covering Pokemon Horizons. And the truth is, when you're watching long-running anime, this is true for any anime, but especially long-running anime, is sometimes your enjoyment of it can definitely be dependent on your mood. The reality, I just got off of work right now. It was a fine day. I didn't have a bad day per se. It was a fine day, but you know, it's just your vibes at the end of a work day. You're kind of over it. Like, you're just over it. I'm getting ready. I'm gonna go to the, I'm gonna go get my kids from school. I'm gonna go to the gym. I'm just kind of getting ready for my night. I'm not in the best of moods. I'm not in a bad mood. I'm just, another day. So when I'm watching an anime, kind of as I'm winding down that type of day, the thing that I look for is like, what can uplift me? And Pokemon Horizons episode 95, I think if you really dug the battles this episode, I think that this could be a good one, right? They brought back Onyx. They brought back Sango. They battled Liko and Roy. I thought the battle was pretty worthless. At the end of it, you had Alt, you had Alt come and save the day. That was pretty worthless, right? He kind of met his way in there. At the end of it, Sango, I think, is the girl, right? Sango the girl? Onyx is the girl? I don't know. But the girl comes in and, she makes her Pokemon explode. They tell us, the explorers tell us that they're trying to win over the public affection. They're trying to get the strong spheres out there. The strong spheres are just a more controlled Rakurium substance to where they're affecting Pokemon, but they're not making them go completely berserk, but they're kind of giving them those powers that Rakurium has. Spinel has definitely put the, his research to play here, and he's using people as guinea pigs. Very Team Rockety, totally makes sense. And from contextual wise, right, as I'm explaining it, it's not bad. Like, this is definitely a good episode for context, right? But enjoyability factor, it didn't make my day better. And it didn't make it worse, by any means, but it was kind of a boring episode. Liko and Roy, they make their way into the facility. They find that it's a big facility of Pokemon battling. Basically, it is Pokemon battling, but really they're advertising the strong spheres. They're trying to, get it FDA approved and make it, good for the public and stuff. And they're having trainers come in to basically sell this to people as opposed to market it. They want trainers to come in and use it so that the trainers will be like, oh my God, I need strong spheres too. And it's a really good marketing scheme. And Sango and Onyx are like the head people here who are like, the Pokemon battling people. And they're just making it known, and they're kind of the face of the explorers. They're the face of 𝐒𝐡𝐚𝐧𝐧𝐞𝐥, the company that's like the front for the explorers. And it totally makes sense. But the episode is just boring. And I was like, man, this sucks. And I thought the battles were really underwhelming. Roy ends up using Pikachu at the end. They get their ass whooped, Masquerada and Roy, Masquerada and what's his name? Achigator, whatever his name is. They get their ass whooped at the end, and that was disappointing. And they're like, we're gonna fight you with, whatever. And they get their butt whooped, and Alt's like, I'm gonna fight you with Mega Evolution. I don't know. I hate Alt. He's just a really annoying character. When he was going through his little mood swing, because I guess he got a little car sick on the bus, I was like, yes, please leave this kid behind. But the preview for the next episode shows that he's joining the group. He's joining the gang, and it looks like he has a crush on Liko, which I think that's a totally fine thing. He's just a really annoying kid. So, anyways, yeah. It didn't improve my day. So for me, this episode is a very 5 out of 10. Totally cool though, because at the end of the day, Pokemon Horizons is a long-running show, and at the end of the day, it's an 8 or 8.5 out of 10 show overall. I think some episodes are master classes. Some episodes are like 10 out of 10 Pokemon episodes. when it averages out, I think it's probably a good, 7.9, 7.8, 7.7. It's a strong 7, which is in the anime world is a really, really good rating. I think, somewhere around 8, especially when you have these longer running shows like Naruto and Fairy Tail and Black Clover and Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball GT, Dragon Ball, whatever, all the different versions of all those long running shows, when you start getting shows that are post 24 episodes, or post 3, 4, 5 seasons, like that's where it really settles it. So anyways, another fine episode of Pokemon Horizons. Again, fine being like a 6 out of 10, 5 out of 10, totally fine. Next week looks pretty good. It looks like they're coming across a 𝐒𝐡𝐚𝐧𝐬𝐵𝐭 gang, so that's gonna be pretty fun. And last thing I'll show you guys is like, hey, look, in a random box I was going through this weekend, we were selling some shit on eBay, and look, I found a little Poliwrath from when I was a kid, and I think that is just really, really fun. This is a Tomy Poliwrath from when I was a kid. And I was like, yo, Poliwrath. I was like, that's so effing cool. Just randomly in a box. It's a little Tomei one. Tomei China or whatever. But, really, really cool. I don't remember what this is from, but I have a ton of Pokemon little things like this. You know what I mean? I also had my, one of my kids need to sharpen their pencils and stuff. I have them sharpen it in this Bulbasaur. And this is a Bulbasaur I've had since 5th grade. I think I got this in 1999, I think it was. But anyways, just a little, I wanted to share that I found this Poliwrath that is super cool. One of my favorite Pokemon of all time. All right, my friends, I'll see you guys next week for episode number 97 of Pokemon Horizons. Peace.